It's known as the Red Heart, a place of impossible heat and silent danger. On September 27, 2025, the day Gus Lamont went missing, the air temperature was a scrawling 32 degrees Celsius. But the ground Gus Lamont was playing on, that dry red sand, was closer to 60 degrees. Everything about this place is designed to kill. And here, in the late afternoon heat, is where 4-year-old Gus, dressed in long sleeves, was last seen by his grandmother. For a child to vanish without a trace from this exact spot, it defies all logic of survival. The police shifted from a rescue to a recovery mission almost immediately. Today, we're not just looking for a boy, we're investigating the environment that makes this disappearance impossible and exploring the theory that the outback's silent predators, both heat and wildlife, tell a different story about Gus's last moments. Welcome to Crime Science. I'm your host Zani, and today we're returning to a case that has captivated the nation due to its impossible lack of evidence. Please make sure you are subscribed and hit the notification bell to be sure you get notified of any new videos, and I will most definitely analyze other aspects from this case. Also be sure to like this video if you like this breakdown of this case. Gus was last seen playing on the heap of sand, and at first glance it's probably nothing out of the ordinary. I can see that it's normal for a boy growing up here to have the self-confidence to play alone on a heap of sand. But then you start to look closer and realize that for a 4-year-old boy, it's not that close to the house at all. In fact, there's a tree blocking the direct line of sight to the house from where he was playing. If you look even closer, you will see that just a few feet from the heap of sand, there's a hole. And not just a hole, but a hole with a ladder going into it. But for this video, I'm going to explore something completely different. Let's say the statement given that Gus was last seen by his grandmother playing on the heap of sand is in fact a true one. What would that feel like? At about 5 p.m., temperature now is starting to drop, but the maximum temperature for the day Gus went missing was about 32 degrees Celsius. But with the ground composition in that area of sand, gravel, still stone and red clay, the temperature of the heap of sand could rise up to 60 degrees Celsius. Yes, studies have confirmed that the ground temperature, especially if it's a darker surface, can be anything between 10 and 40 degrees Celsius higher than the air temperature. That's enough to cause severe second-degree burns very quickly, especially to a child's skin. The medical burn chart shows that exposure to 60 degrees Celsius can cause a second-degree burn in as little as 3 to 5 seconds. So the first question should actually be, can it be true that the grandmother will allow the grandson to play outside in that heat, not even taking any of the other factors in consideration? Then, did you listen closely to what Gus was wearing at the time of the disappearance? A hat, a long-sleeve shirt, long-sleeve pants, and boots. So for one, we know that he at least had a hat on to protect his face. He also had boots on, so no matter what the temperature of the heap of sand, his feet would have been protected. His feet was completely insulated from the immediate burn risk. So the fact that he had boots on plays very well into the theory that Gus would walk away. The only thing left to stop him were heat exhaustion. I'm from South Africa, and I don't know about Australian heat, but here, when it's hot, we try to stay indoors and preferably wear short-sleeve clothes. I did some research on this, and it came to light that it's not completely unheard of to wear long sleeves in that Australian heat. The reason for that is sun protection against UV radiation, and reducing the risk of sunstroke. That's if you follow the slip, slop, slap guidelines. This made me think about it even more, and I was wondering if you should rather wear specific materials. Unfortunately, this was not made public or not yet investigated. So, if you wear long sleeve, it should preferably be made of cotton or a cotton blend because it's naturally breathable and light in color. It was reported that Gus was last seen wearing a grey hat, a blue long-sleeve t-shirt, light grey long pants, that's trousers, and boots. Please leave your comment below if this is a typical outfit in that heat, and correct me if I'm wrong, but to me this is very strange. And now we have the famous video of Grandma Josie chasing a reporter from the property with a pump-action shotgun in hand. She, Josie, later said that the shotgun wasn't intended for the reporter. No, it was to, and I quote, dispatch a snake. And I'm not sure whose exact words that were, those of Josie herself or the police. Although I personally am struggling to believe that statement, it's not for me to decide if it's true or not. And again, for this video, we're not going to do a deep dive on that incident now. I mentioned that because that incident right there confirms that we all actually know and that there's most definitely snakes on that property. And then I can go back to what I've said should have been the very first question. Can it be true that a grandmother will allow the grandson to play outside in the heat? And then add to that sentence, knowing that there are deadly snakes on the property. The most common snakes on the property will most probably be the eastern snake, western snake, and the Mulga snake, also known as the king brown snake. So what happens when one of these snakes bites you? The eastern brown, there would be blood clotting, rapid and severe drop in blood pressure, and cardiac arrest that can occur very quickly. That's minutes to an hour. The western brown snake, paralysis, blurred vision, difficulty swallowing, and that can happen in hours, a little bit delayed. The king brown snake, muscle weakness, kidney failures, and that's also hours. But it was only after 30 minutes that the grandmother went back outside the house to go and check on Gus. I don't understand how you know that there are snakes that are deadly, especially to a 4-year-old boy, and you still leave him alone to play in the heat outside. If the eastern brown snake got to him in that time period and he collapsed, he wouldn't have been alive after 30 minutes. So with that said, do you still think that Gus was playing alone on that heap of sand on the 27th of September 2025 at about 5 p.m. in the heat with deadly snakes lurking nearby? Or was that very first story we told a fabricated one? Until next time, bye.